Most people stay stuck because they're comfortable. Why do people stay stuck in a situation that they no longer want to tolerate? You know, how many people do you know right now that hate their results, that hate their situation they're in, that hate their job, that hate their spouse, that hate their partner, that hate where they live, that hate their neighbors? That hate just keeps on blowing up even for long periods of time. Why does that happen? Just the other day, I spoke to someone in the gym that I grew up with. Now, I've had this conversation with a great guy, lovely, chilled guy. He's in a career and he's been treated like crap by his employees, and he's been feeling down for quite some time. Every time I have a conversation, it's always the same thing, right? And I said to him, look, enough is enough. You've got to say to yourself, like, I no longer tolerate this. Why do you keep on putting yourself through that? Why is this? Why do people carry on doing the same thing over and over again, even though they can't stand what they're experiencing? So I said, why don't you just quit? Just find another job. It may seem to that person it's easy for me to say, but is it not harder for you to stay stuck in that position that you don't like? Think about how many people that you know that you've spoken to and have actually told you how much they dislike their life. Well, you know what? If you ain't going to do nothing about it, guess what? You've got to accept your results. So don't complain. Stop complaining. If you ain't willing to do something about it, stop complaining. Is it because of the comfort zone? Is it because of the fear of the unknown? But listen, life is short. So why would you want to carry on doing something that's not serving you well? So I said to this chap, look, you've got two kids, right? He's got two young children. You're facing burnout. You're getting pressure through work. They're treating you like crap, and yet you're still there. Why? When you go home, guess what happens? You're thinking about work when you should be spending time with your precious children, your wife, or whoever you're spending time with. You're spending so much time focused on work because when you're at home, you're not even present. So that's unfair on the kids. I'm like, do it for yourself. You don't deserve this. Why do we put ourselves through this? I don't really understand. Because why? I'd probably say it's down to this one thing: decision. You're still making a decision, right, to stay where you are. Think about it. Everything starts with a decision. Even like no action starts with a decision because you decided not to take the freaking action. So you got to ask yourself a question like, what areas in my life am I so unhappy with, dissatisfied with, but I'm not doing nothing about it? I'd probably say, like, I don't know, 98% of the world's population live like that. Why? Because they haven't been taught how to make decisions. They've been so caught up with living life as it is right now. They can't use their imagination to see anything different because they've been so conditioned and molded. What do you get told to do? You get told to get good education, get a long-term job that's got security where you can be there for like 20, 30 years, a long-term career path within a company, right? Provide lots of service, create your service, be there for 30 years. And guess what happens? That's what we get drummed into doing, right? So why would you want to be somewhere that's not appreciating your service to them? Get out there, find someone else. You got to value yourself enough. Most people don't really value themselves enough. They're too busy taking shit from people, whether it's a partner, spouse, whether it's a job, employer, whoever. You got to say enough is enough. But that's the only time anything's ever going to change. Well, otherwise, nothing else will. I remember my mentor used to say, Bob Proctor, he used to say, like, dissatisfaction is a creative state, because when you're dissatisfied with something, guess what? You start to make change. How many times in your life, if you look back, have you not been happy with a certain aspect of your life? It might be the car that you drive. You know what? The car keeps on breaking down. Let's get rid of it. Let's get a new car. Let's trade it in. Let's shop it in. Maybe it's your partner. You think, you know what? Enough is enough. But you stay in that relationship for way too long. Now, look at the word divorce. So many people think that that's a negative word, but it really isn't a negative word, right? It's just simply an end of a relationship. So you can, when we talk about divorce, we're not just talking about your marital situation. We could be talking about divorcing your job, divorcing a result that you no longer want to tolerate. But you gotta really understand there's a consequence by you not taking action. So today I want you to think about one area that you're really pissed off with and you've been kind of really jacked off about this for quite some time and you ain't done cool with it. So guess what? You deserve to stay where you are. If you ain't going to take any action, why do we expect things to change? Maybe you have a member of staff that you've been thinking about getting rid of. Maybe one of your staff members hasn't been performing and all you seem to do is going home to your partner complaining about this one person. I can't believe it. She did this again, didn't do this, or he did this, but yet you won't let them go. You haven't made that decision. So guess what's going to happen? You're going to carry on eating your energy. Now, these kind of people like drain your energy. They become like energy vampires, which I like to call them. You got to really look at life. Like, how long have we got on this planet? We don't know, right? So how long have you got to be dissatisfied? How long have you got to be pissed off? If something's not serving you well, you got to learn to sort of say, right, let me just evaluate my life. Let me just see where I am. Is this actually serving me? Is this actually helping me? Is it actually enriching my life? Is it adding value to my life? If not, guess what? You need to move on. Because here's the thing. In your business, right, you could be a business owner that's so frustrated at the amount of hours that you're working, and you've been working 60, 70, 80 hours a week for the past 10 years. And yet you're burnt out, you're tired, you're worn out, you're pissed off, no quality family time, you ain't making as much money, and yet all you find yourself doing is freaking complaining, and you haven't taken any action to resolve the situation. So why not? I don't know what to do. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Find someone to help you on how you can break free from this. Life is like way too precious to be stuck somewhere that you don't like being. Just evaluate people, look at people's behavior, look at people around you. Next time someone complains, ask yourself a question. Have you heard this person complain before? And is it the same freaking complaint? Chances are they're complaining about the same thing day in, day out and doing nothing about it. So going back to my buddy, I said to him, listen, you can earn way more money working for yourself than working for this company. I can't remember how much he said he was earning, and he was telling me how much they were actually billing him out for into this company, right? So I said, listen, you don't even need that many days, right? If you're getting billed out, let's say you're getting billed out, I don't know, $1,000 a day. You don't need that many days to replace your income, right? But you got to have courage. The thing is, like, we get so caught up with what's the word? Security, that's the word, but it's not really security. You think about it, right? So you're working in a place that you can't stand. You've been there 30, 40 years, 20 years, 10 years, whatever it is. You're just feeling that you're secure, you're in a secure job. They can get rid of you at any time they want. So a job really isn't secure. Take time out to evaluate yourself. Take time out to look at your results. Don't just accept what's been given to you. You don't like something, you can change it. It's just like if you stepped in some dog shit today on your shoe, would you change your shoe? Of course you would. I'm going to say, well, this is no different to like changing your job, changing your career, changing your business. Well, it's a lot harder. No, it isn't. Because before you do anything, you need to make a decision. And people are not used to making decisions. Most people ask other people for their opinion. Hey, listen, what do you think I should do? Why? Because these people don't have balls for themselves. They don't have the courage. Could it be self-respect? Maybe they don't respect themselves enough. Maybe they don't value themselves enough to actually want to do something about it. So you got to learn to value yourself. You can't let anybody else like put you down, right? You can't be in a situation where it's not serving your life well. It's just crazy. So many people go through life unhappy, pissed off, and really like hating life, hating everything about it because they haven't learned to make a decision. So I want you to develop some courage. Maybe it's you right now. You're thinking about an area that you're frustrated with, but in your mind, there's so many different complex reasons why you couldn't do X, Y, and Z. There's so many reasons behind why it's not a good idea to make that change. But all you need is one good idea, one reason why you should change. Down to your happiness. I remember Tony Robbins, he said something once, it really stuck with me. He said, progress equals happiness. And I thought, how freaking true is that? When you're progressing, guess what? You're happier. When you're not making any progress, guess what you're doing? You're feeling really down, you're feeling crap about yourself. Progress, I'm not just talking about in your finances. This could be in your like physical health. It could be in your weight. It could be in your relationships. It could be in your finances, could be in your career path, could be in if you're a student and you're studying, right? If you're not progressing, if you're not passing your tests, it ain't gonna make you happy. But the moment you start to progress, guess what? You start to feel much more lighter. The confidence is shining through. Life is way too valuable to waste it away. Imagine this, you're 85 years old, 90 years old, and you're lying there, right? You're frail, you can't really move around, you ain't as active as you were, and you look back and you said, you know what, if only I did this when I was 40 years old, if only I didn't stay in that job or that business for long enough, if only I'd employed someone to do all this stuff so I could do more things for myself and my family. Regret is the worst thing I believe that you could probably have is regret, because you can't change that. You can't change your past, but what you can do is you can change now, the present right now. That's the only thing you can change. Now I want you to take something away from this today. What are you going to change? What are you dissatisfied with? And listen, there's plenty of areas that I'm dissatisfied in my life. I'm not preaching you like I'm happy with every area of my life, but the areas that I'm not happy with, guess what? I'm actually working on them. I don't just ignore them, brush them under the carpet. I'm actually evaluating whether it's something to do with my business, my employees, it could be my strategy that we're using. Maybe we're making some highs. Maybe it's something in my personal life. I'm constantly looking at changing things that I'm not happy with, but we've got to be willing to change. Constant change is necessary. The thing is, most people don't really want to change. They're so comfortable at what they're doing, so they won't never change. They'll never think about change. Now, I want you to think about one thing that you're really pissed off with. Imagine today, if you took action, you drew a line in the sand and said, enough is enough. I refuse to carry on going through this any longer. And you get real committed and you stand by yourself. You stand by to your commitment. And then you go out looking to make that change. You need this maybe. Maybe it's you that I'm talking to. Maybe you're frustrated and you know that you're capable of so much more. And you ask yourself, well, why am I not doing more than I'm capable of doing? Maybe, just maybe, you're not making the right decisions of what's required to do the bigger things that you want. Because you're only ever one decision away from changing your entire life. Not just one area, but just one decision from changing your life. To do or not to do. Was that Shakespeare? Don't know, right? to do or not to do, or to be or not to be, whatever it was, right? But to do or not to do, it requires a decision. You either decide that you're going to stay as you are, or you decide that you're no longer going to stay as you are. You see, there's an outcome to each decision. So even if you say, well, I'm going to make a decision not to do anything, even by you making that decision not to do anything has an outcome. It has a consequence. Now, you can decide whether you pay your taxes or not. Now, if you do, that's cool. But if you don't, there's consequences, right? You can say, I'm not going to pay my phone bill this week, or my water bill, I'm not going to pay it. There's a consequence. If you don't pay it, they're going to come and cut you off. There are consequences to every decision that you make in life. Now, I want you to really think about this and really evaluate how you've been living your life until now. Maybe you're in that robotic state. You're just hypnotized, like most people out there. You're just like clockwork. You're just like a fucking robot. Just like go with the flow. Now, you got to have a pattern interrupt. The most successful people in the world are thinkers. These people think, act, and behave differently to like 98% of the world's population. This is why there's a huge divide. If you look at any like billionaires list, why are there like less billionaires there are like millionaires, right? Because billionaires make decisions differently. They do things differently. That's why there's only a handful of like multi-billionaires. Not a handful, there's like obviously thousands of billionaires. But there's a difference, right, between a millionaire and a multi-millionaire, and a multi-millionaire to a multi-billionaire, or even a billionaire to a multi-billionaire. There's a huge difference. It's how they act, how they behave, how they see themselves, how they actually take action, how they think. So how has your thinking brought you to where you are? Now, if you can alter your thinking, would you agree that it'd probably alter your life? It'd change your life? Just by you thinking differently, it's going to cause you to act differently. You got to cut away from something today. You got to think about, right, here's the thing that I want to cut away from, and this is it, and this is what I'm going to do about it. So write down one thing that you want to cut away from it, then ask yourself a question, write down next to it what you're willing to do about it. Because a lot of times people say, you know what, enough is enough, I'm not going to tolerate this job, I'm going to leave, I'm going to quit. How many times have you heard that? Maybe you've done this yourself in the past. I'm going to fire that person. If you said you're going to fire that person, fire that freaking person. If you said you're going to hire that person, hire that person. Don't sit around waiting. Make a decision quick. Successful people make decisions fast and change them slowly for all. And that's coming from Napoleon Hill after he interviewed the author of Think and Grow Rich. He interviewed 500 most successful men and women out there. And that's one common denominator of success is making decisions fast and sticking to them. Now, when I make a decision, I stick to it, right? I stick to it. Sometimes, listen, I make wrong decisions sometimes, right? Sometimes we can make a wrong decision, but make a decision. If you're going to fuck up, you might as well fuck up big, right? So today I want you to go take some serious action. Dissatisfaction, right, is not a bad place to be, right? That's a creative state, and that's where you can bounce up. So enough is enough. What are you going to stop tolerating today? What are you going to say no to forever? And what are you going to do about it, right? So go out and do it.